Hey, top of the morning to you, and welcome to the Auspicious Wellness Optimal Wellness Podcast. Come on in and have a virtual seat at the table. It's time for our Monday morning drive time show, broadcasting live and in studio. We don't do ordinary, but we endeavor to bring you an extraordinary experience. And you know what it is, the Auspicious Wellness Experience. My name is Deborah Smith Torrance. I am your host today, as usual. I'm a life and health coach, a manufacturer in cannabinoid molecules, for short CBD and IT developer. We are broadcasting live in studio on the following platforms: the Apple Podcast platform, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Alexa, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Deezer, Listen Note, Podbean, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castro, Castbox, Podbean, Spreaker, Player FM, and FFmpg. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is time to dig in, dive in, drill down, take it all apart, and put it all back together like a fine-tuned engine, where it all makes sense. And most of all, the most important thing is to be true to you. You know where it's at. You know where we need you at. You know where we're at. We're at the virtual round table. And guess what? Come on in and take a seat. The invitation has been extended. Our episode today is centered around crucial life skills for self-love and graduating to falling in love with the right one, and understanding if this is the right one, and the motivation to keep you successful. This is the last part of our 3-part series, and so we're going to dive into it now. Okay, so self-love is becoming mindful and intentionally practicing for one's own well-being and happiness in a constructive way rather than narcissistic behaviors. And that's the last thing that you want to become, is a narcissist. So let's really get into what self-love is all about, instead of you just feeling like, okay, it's about self-love. I'm going to practice as much self-love as I can so I can fall in love. It's not like that. Okay, so let's talk about self-love and what it really is all about. And so self-love, defined as love of self or regard for one's own happiness or advantage, has been both conceptualized as a basic human necessity to truly achieve happiness and balance in your life. On the other hand, if we as human beings enter into the realm of being a narcissist with a tendency for narcissistic behaviors, then we move to a dangerous character and moral flaws within yourself, which can be looked at as vanity in yourself or selflessness. It's a fine line between not enough and too much. So check your behaviors at the door. Don't become so involved in yourself that you can't recognize what you need inside of yourself to become whole without demoralizing other people with negative behaviors, such as the French would say, prop. You do not want to be conceited, egotistic. You don't want to have these behaviors because they lead to you becoming a narcissist. And that's the last thing you want. So let's dig into the positive side of self-love. Let's talk about mindset of positive, deliberate mindfulness of self-love. That's what we want. We want you to really become deliberate in your approach of how you treat yourself, how you love yourself, how you interact with others, how you come across to others, how others perceive you. But everyone's opinion is not going to be the defining, definitive person that you are. No one can define you as a person better than yourself if you understand self-love, if you understand it. In other words, loving yourself is the right way leading to falling in love, which is part of our topic today. Regarding yourself, self-love is important to living well. It influences who you pick for a mate, the image you project at work, and how you cope with problems in your life. Because look at it like this: if you love yourself, you'll understand what truly giving to others are, what it's all about, and you won't give of yourself in a selfish way, in a demeaning way, in a demoralizing way. You will be able to work with people in a way where you elevate them, and that falls back on who you are as a person. It's important to your welfare that what you want in life and knowing how to bring it to life, what you want and bringing it to the table, is all about the realm of self-love. It's all about the art of self-love, leading into learning to love other people and treat other people as you want to be treated. That's part of it. It's part of becoming whole. It's part of becoming the person that you were designed to be. What is self-love? So let's go deeper into it. What is it? It's not just a, saying I'm going shopping for a new wardrobe. It's not just talking about it. It's not just saying I need a new hairdo. It is not any of those things. It's not just a beauty makeover. It's not just reading a magazine. It's not just turning on the TV and getting into topics about self and motivation and self-improvement. It's more to it than that. Those are steps, necessary steps that you take along the way when you understand what the core value is. The things I've said before, those are not the only mechanisms. There are core values of self-love. These are activities of self-love, but not the purposeful action steps to get you to the process. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Actionable, purposeful steps for self-love, which lead to understanding how to love. You must love yourself before you can experience truly anything to begin in a long-lasting, meaningful relationship. Before you can get what you want, you've got to work on self. You've got to understand yourself, and you've got to say to yourself, am I a person, the way that I deal with people and the way that I treat people, is that the way that I want people to deal with me and treat me? That is one of the most important things that you should ask yourself today, right now. Do you treat people the way you want to be treated? And if you tell yourself no, then you've got some work to do. If you tell yourself, the way I treated this person yesterday, I would never want anyone to treat me like that. That is one of the most defining things that you can do to ask yourself, am I really in need of self-love and working on myself? Do I really know how to work with people in a way that leaves them empowered and leading to me feeling empowered because I'm helping other people? Or are you destroying other people? At anyone that's in your path because you want what you want and you're relentless about getting it. There's a difference. High performance women are willing to put in the work at home and at work. We want to have it all, but at what cost? So let's go over some meaningful tips about self-love. Okay? 1 is self-love. Number 2 is understanding the driving forces behind your motivation for success and keeping it always as a driving force in your purpose. Number 3, understanding you have actually fallen in love in the best way. And we're going to talk about how do you know you're in love later in the segment. So let's get into some serious factors on the serious side to keep you successful or help you become successful, and then self-love. And it's going to be 3 parts to this: the motivation, the self-love, and the falling in love. And that's when we have our balance and we become full-rounded in what we need in the evolution of who we are as people. Okay, so let's talk about motivation first, because most powerful women, they have some motivational factors that keep them motivated. But let's talk about some positive factors in motivation and building what your success looks like and feels like for you. Okay, so one of the key factors that I ask people, are you knocking on doors? And they say, what do you mean by knocking on doors? It means cultivating the necessary relationships and nurturing them and building the necessary relationships for success. Are you doing this? Are you building your network? Or do you realize you can't do it alone? It can't be a one-man ship. You can't drive the ship, navigate the ship, and do everything all by yourself. You need a team. Do you realize this? That's number 1. That's part of self-love. Because if you don't realize to be successful that you need a team and you need to cultivate the necessary relationships, you're going to burn out. You're going to feel stressed out. You're going to feel like, oh my God, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So there's some positive ways to get into what you want to do, how you want to do it, and defining your motivational factors first. Your journey is I had to really, really, really think about this. I mean, I really thought about it till it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just got up and I started typing this, and it started pouring out of me, and I had to just put it on paper. And I said, I've got to share this with our listeners. I've got to share this with people on the podcast because it was very important to me. And I just felt at that moment and at that time that this is something that was so true because of the time it was coming, where it was coming from. And, you know, I'm telling you, sometimes when you feel like God is talking to you, you need to be listening. You do. You need to listen. And he talks to me super early in the morning and wakes me up. And whatever he wakes me up with, that's the path that I take. So this is what I want to share with you that I got out of this morning. Your journey is a roadway which gets wider and wider with a driving force which comes from within. The journey to seek knowledge and create the skill set for success. When you're on the journey, the roadway opens up from a 1-lane highway to a 2-lane roadway. The next thing you know, you're on a highway, a freeway, which goes in both directions, and there's multiple lanes in both directions. And you look around and you have a new city emerging, something that was never there before, something that's being built out of the dust. The city is your network. And the roadways are the roads of success, which are always being built, and your business is now an infrastructure. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Bridges are made to be built, and they're made for people to come together. You have got to want to be successful as much as the air you need to breathe. As a motivational speaker, I heard named Eric Thomas. And his nickname was E.T. Thank you, E.T., because when I listened to that session from you coaching from the stage, it was a moment, a defining moment for me. Okay? And I never ever forgot what he was singing, and I took it to heart. Okay? If you want to be successful, it's got to be as much as the air you need to breathe. If you want to be successful, you have to be able to survive and understand how to thrive in your success. You've got to understand what it's going to take. And then my takeaway for that is that you've got to want it just as much as you need blood in your veins to pump your heart, to keep the blood flowing, to keep the motivation flowing. You should be flowing with enforced actionable steps leading to your success. And this should be something that should be practiced daily, but done in moderation where you have time to continue to show yourself love, to take the time that you need to become whole, and it should be balanced out. It shouldn't be where the only thing that you do is work in building. And it may feel like that, but sometimes you have to step away and take some you time so that you can breathe. Sometimes you have to step away so that you can bring in new thought processes. Because I'm telling you, sometimes when you go to sleep and wake up on something and you're getting some rest, you have a new perspective. And you have to remember, you will always, always be the driving force behind your motivation. I can share with you my motivation, what my driving force is. And it's something that I hold valuable and I hold close to my vest on a daily basis. And it was going to bed hungry as a child and waking up hungry as a child. My motivation for me many years ago started when I looked at my small children